This is the mindset that allows you to see through the essence of a person or a thing at a glance. A few days ago, I asked myself a question. At that time, Trump had not yet been confirmed as the winner of the election. I said, look, this time Musk stood alone and firmly supported Trump. Moreover, when Musk was interviewed, he said that if he lost, he would lose everything, even face jail time. He asked me, he said, honey, why do you think Musk is doing this? I said, because Musk knows he will definitely win. Musk can see that he will definitely win. Some people ask, teacher, how can he see it? He doesn't see it with his physical eyes, he sees it with insight, just like Mr. Kazuo Inamori. After he turned Kyocera into a Fortune Global 500 company, one day he suddenly saw an image, a vision where all Japanese people started using cordless phones. At that time, there were no mobile phones yet, just those big brick phones, and everyone was still using landlines. He said, I saw that every Japanese citizen was using a kind of cordless phone, and I even saw each person's monthly phone bill. So at the board meeting, he said, I want to start a new company. This company will be called KDDI, and it will focus on telecommunications. Everyone on the board was completely against it, saying things like, what are you doing? What is this? Who would use it? It's not a telephone. But Inamori Kazuo just kept saying, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it. He stood firm against all opposition and went ahead to start his second company, KDDI. And just a few years later, mobile phones really started being used in Japan. Then he became Japan's largest mobile operator, and the company went public. When the old man had already retired and gone off to practice Buddhism, Japan Airlines was on the verge of bankruptcy. In the end, the Japanese Prime Minister had no choice but to ask the old man to come out of retirement because Japan Airlines had hundreds of thousands of employees. It used to be the most profitable company in the world, and if it went bankrupt now, hundreds of thousands of employees would be left homeless. So they wanted to invite him back, but the entire board was against it, saying, Mr. Inamori, you are already a legend. You are the god among Japan's elite. You created the Kyocera miracle. You created the KDDI miracle. If you save Japan Airlines today, to be honest, you'll still be a legend. But what if you fail? Your reputation in your later years will be ruined. Can you guess whether Kazuo Inamori took on this case? Kazuo Inamori said, no problem, I'll be right there. But you've never run an airline before. It's fine. After he arrived at Japan Airlines, it took him less than a year to get JAL relisted and turn it into the most profitable airline in the world that year, at a time when airlines everywhere were struggling. Later, someone asked him, Mr. Inamori, why did you dare to take on this job? He replied, because I saw a thriving future for JAL in my hands. How did he see it? He saw it with that higher dimensional insight. Why is Mr. Li Ka-shing considered the richest Chinese? Back then, he was a salesman selling metal buckets. One day, he met someone selling plastic buckets. He immediately quit his job and started a plastic factory. He told his friends, I can see that plastic buckets will soon be in every household. He opened a plastic factory and started making money. Then, he suddenly saw a magazine article about Europeans inventing a kind of artificial flower called plastic flowers. The magazine was out, but the finished product wasn't even on the market yet. He immediately flew to Europe, hoping to become an agent, but they wouldn't let him. So he went straight to the factory, found a way to get the engineer on the other side to leave, and brought the technology back to Hong Kong. Using plastic flowers while the European product hadn't even hit the market yet, he was already selling them all over the world. He became the king of plastics, and in the midst of all the excitement, he was the only one who truly saw the opportunity. He said, I can see plastic flowers blooming everywhere all around the world. At this time, it was 1997, and Hong Kong was about to be handed back. No one was optimistic about Hong Kong's future. Many people were afraid that after the handover, their assets would be confiscated, so they frantically sold their houses at low prices, cashed out, and fled, switching to British passports. But only Mr. Li Ka-shing said, Hong Kong will only get better after the handover. When everyone else was selling, he was buying. When others were frantically selling, he was buying. He leapt from being a plastic seller to becoming a real estate tycoon. And then he made money all at once. After making money, when we started the reform and opening up, Mr. Li Ka-shing was among the first to support it. His very first project was right at the entrance of Beijing's Chang'an Avenue near the Forbidden City, where he started building. While everyone else was pessimistic about China, he was optimistic. He said, I see that China will become the world's second largest economy and will replicate Japan's miracle. Once again, he made a fortune. At this point, everyone thought he was just too amazing, right? From then on, Hong Kong was just too amazing, and it was at this very moment. So, moving forward to around 2017, he began to sell off all his assets in mainland China. He sold off all his assets in Hong Kong as well, except for the Chung Kong Holdings headquarters in Central. Everything else was sold. He bought into the UK, even though at that time, China's economy was about to surpass the US and become #1 in the world. Hong Kong was so prosperous then, the financial center of Asia, easily outshining Singapore and almost catching up to London. Yet he sold everything and bought into the UK. And back then, the UK oh my god, was dealing with Brexit, trying to leave the EU, and there was even a Scotland-England referendum that could have split the UK into two countries like the UK and the Philippines becoming separate nations. At that time, when he bought into the UK, everyone thought he had misjudged China this time. Back then, UK assets were at rock bottom. Today, China's economy is from China. He basically bought up more than half of the UK's electricity, and almost all the lucrative assets were in his hands. To put it in today's terms, if he stomped his foot in the UK, the whole country would tremble. That's how powerful he was. After seeing this, we have to ask, is he a genius or a god? He's a god, he's truly incredible. What did he use to see so far ahead? He saw it with his higher perspective. So I want to tell everyone here today, let me give another example. Here, bring me a piece of white paper, and let's help everyone feel the relationship between different dimensions. Learning can be divided into several levels. The first level, which we experience in school, is learning knowledge. This is the lowest form of knowledge and cannot change your destiny. A level higher than this is learning methods. For example, our children learn a certain technique outside, and their ability to memorize text is faster than others, and their grades improve more quickly. This is called learning methods. Going even higher, learning to think differently, changing a person's way of thinking, can change a person's destiny. At an even higher level of learning, once your level is elevated, problems immediately disappear. And then at an even higher level, it's about maintaining that state. Have you ever heard of the term thunderstrike? In the three-body problem, why is it that a tiny water droplet can wipe out all of humanity's star-level battleships? It's because the attack comes from a higher dimension. So, where does that come from? Look, you learn knowledge, you learn methods, you learn ways of thinking, you learn about realms, and you learn about maintaining those realms. What does it mean to maintain? It means that today, you no longer study things in three-dimensional space. You start learning about four-dimensional space, five-dimensional space, six-dimensional space, and even higher dimensions. To put it bluntly, if you are studying how to maintain that realm, let me tell you, improving yourself in three-dimensional space becomes much easier. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, give me the camera. Let's take a look at the relationships between different dimensions. Second, there is a little ant crawling on this piece of paper. This little ant is a two-dimensional creature. The ant is a two-dimensional creature. It has no concept of up or down, no concept of space. It only knows forward, backward, left, and right. As it crawls, a fly suddenly lands on the paper, then flies away, then comes back again, and flies away once more. The ant immediately bows down and kneels as if worshipping the fly. Because the fly is a three-dimensional creature and the ant is a two-dimensional creature, that's why. When the fly flies from here to there and then leaves, we know it simply flew from one place to another and left, nothing special. But in the eyes of the ant, it suddenly appears and suddenly disappears. Do you understand? If we let an ant crawl from point A to point B, the smartest ant would take a straight line and it would take at least 40 seconds to get there. But if we only give it 1 second, not a single ant could make it. The ants would think this is pure fantasy, impossible to achieve. But for us, all it takes is a simple action, and the ant instantly moves from point A to the middle. Among the ants, the smartest ones are called scientists, and they call this a space-time distortion. We have an ant crawl from point A to this place called point B. Even the smartest ant would have to crawl and crawl for 3 to 5 minutes, but for us, with just one simple action, the ant instantly goes from point A to point B. Among them, the smartest ants are called scientists, and they call this a wormhole. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. If you want to systematically learn about financial intelligence, entrepreneurship, AI, digital humans, and more with Teacher Joe, click on the profile picture, click on customer service, and click the link to add the service teacher and join the 2024 4-day training camp course.